GM, trade of the day, Thursday. So, start of the month will allow some of this price action to develop. But I'm looking at this entire area as a consolidation. So, Bitcoin clearly trended up from the lows down here, trended up into this area, and this is where the uptrend finished, from how I would draw it. Reason being is that after that peak, each pullback was a full retrace. So it pulled all the way back, it moved up, it did break out, but then it failed to break out, came all the way back, so a full retracement. It tried to break out again and came all the way back. So this is not upwards trending action, and I can look at this entire thing as one wide, and it's actually a widening mouth consolidation. So from there all the way across to where we are now, that gives us a volume profile to look at. And you're looking at this consolidation, you've got a breakout at the top, and then you've got the lower end down here. So what I'd be watching for is a false breakout on either side, either at the top or at the bottom. And some of those levels confluence as well with previous areas. You got the May-June value area high up there. You got the March to July value area high up there, which clearly marked resistance on this chart. You have this distribution. So here we are. If we reclaim 65, you're looking at price to move through to 67 and possibly to that 68. So that level could offer some long opportunities up into filling the gap. If we don't see that and we continue to consolidate here, well, then you've lost the value area low and you're consolidating below it, which equals a move down. And from there, you're looking at does 62 hold, does 61.1 hold. Those would be the areas to look at for a potential reclaim. So until one or both of those levels happen, so unless you see this and a move down, or you see this for a move up, I'm looking at that 65k retest as being the important level. That's the all-important level here. That would be where I would look at my next trade. If Bitcoin rejects off that, you're going to see it probably go lower. If it reclaims, you can see it move higher. And here, I'm much more in favor of looking at longs, because I think the 63 4k area has provided support all the way along. I don't think that necessarily needs to be any different. Of course, it could be rolling over to dip down lower, but until it breaks, it's going to hold, right? And you should expect it to hold until it doesn't hold. Now, it has to reclaim 67. This is quite clear. The breakdown from yesterday happened at that failure to reclaim 67 broke down. So to really flip back into bullish for an attempt at 71.23, 67 must reclaim. But as a range trade or a consolidation trade, you can see price moving back up in there over the next several days. So we'll see how that goes. I wouldn't be surprised to see price flush lower, take out this dotted red line, take out the red line, and sweep out a bunch of those stops. If it does, that's where you'd see probably a decent chance for a quick trade, meaning if it flushes all that out, even though that would be equal a bearish shift, it would also provide an opportunity for a reactionary rally up to 65 or possibly to 67. So that blue path, even if it's bearish, right, can still come all the way up into there. The reason being is that every position that's built since mid-July will get taken out. You'd have a bunch of stops getting tagged, which allows room for a rally. And even if it's just into a lower high, that trade of kind of 62.8 up to 67 will be a valid long trade and actually a decent one to get into. So at this point, waiting for price to move and then reacting to it. If it goes lower, long opportunity, even if it's a bearish retest. If it goes higher, reclaim the value area low, move the value area high. You know the score by now. And you've got some of your previous levels. 67 is the big level for me. Between 64 and 67, Bitcoin is just consolidating. Right? Anything between 64 and 67 is just standard consolidation. 64 is decent support. 67 is pretty strong resistance. Anything above 67 starts to look good. Anything below 64 and below 63 opens up some bearish potential. But it doesn't get truly bearish until the red path comes into play. It doesn't get truly bullish until the green path comes into play. So when you're between those levels, where 70 is truly bullish, 61 is truly bearish, what do you got? You've got a ranging, consolidating, choppy market. So getting too bearish at the lows, too bullish at the highs, is not the right play. Treat it as a range or a sideways consolidation. That will be the mean reversion type of trades, are still the trades that are on the table. And until something shifts, that'll be my expectation. Now, as we pull back, don't forget, our 4-hour trend is still intact. 4-hour trend, 50, 100, 200, all in line. It's super common to lose and go below the 200. That is one of the best setups you can see in these reclaims. You can see it over here a bunch of times, right? Where price comes up above, like this. Price comes up above the bands, 50, 100, 200, it's all bullish, it's all bullish. What happens? It goes below it. And it looks like it's going to be really bearish, but what happens? Price gets absorbed, gets back above, and boom, away the trend goes. So going below the bands is not a bad thing. It's a 4-hour uptrend reclaim, and people start to get long into expected breakout. Breakout doesn't happen, it flushes down, then they start to get bearish. But if this reclaims and gets above the 4-hour bands, which also look where it is, 67. If Bitcoin goes sideways, breaks back above 67, then you have a successful 4-hour trend retest. You reclaim the 50, 100, 200 all in line, and you have a clear path then towards 71 and beyond. So let's see how that develops. If Bitcoin does something similar over here to where it spends a little bit of time down here building a base, which took from Wednesday until the following Sunday, right? So that's 4 or 5 days over here. That's how long it can take. So we've only just got here, and we did it on Wednesday into Thursday again. So look at how Bitcoin finishes the end of the week. And that could be a really good setup for a move through into higher levels. And that's about it. So for today, probably, I don't really see much of interest today in terms of trades. As I said, start of the month, allow August to begin to develop itself a bit of a range, and then we will see where it goes from there. As for the weekly, right, we're on Thursday now, so how does our weekly look? Let me get a clean chart over here, or something a little bit more clear, and we will look at Bitcoin from Sunday, which is over here. Monday's open to where we are now. Here's our weekly range so far. So the weekly range has the volume distributed at the lows, which is obviously a sign of greater sell pressure. But when we stay within this weekly range, if it holds, starts to move up, where's your target? Weekly value area high, which is where? Around 67. So a lot of confluence around that level. What you want to see next for Bitcoin is, does it hold here? If it does, you're looking at a move up there. If it's able to flip that, you're looking at 71. Still plenty of work to do. That's by no means guaranteed yet. You want to see how price reacts. It's probably going to try and go lower a couple more times. If you see that it's rejecting, it does not want to go to 63 and 62 and 61, that's a good sign. But you probably have to give it 2 or 3 more days. And that's how I'm looking at now. So that's it. GM. See you later on the live stream.